Okay, so this morning I'd like you to meet Rose. Rose has got, as you can see, naturally wavy hair. So I'd like to go through the consultation. Rose, give me an idea of what you like about your hair and what you don't like, and then we can go from there.
I like the length of it. Not as much as I want. I'd like it a little bit shorter, but also what I do not like definitely is that it's very fine, and I just like it to be a lot fuller.
Fuller?
Fuller, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, so what I would like to do then, Rose, is I would like to work with your natural wave. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And really like to try and get this, well, I would like to get your wave to work for you. So I would like to layer it, because by layering it, it's going to give the hair more fullness
Okay.
on the top especially. So by working with your wave, okay, what I want to do is I want to cut it so that it moves away from your face. All right, because that's going to lift you. All right,
That sounds good.
so I'm going to work with the wave so that this moves away from your face. The front, this will move away from your face, okay? And then exactly the same thing on the other side. All right, so all of this moves up and away from your face. All right,
Okay.
with the back, I would like to leave some fullness right here at the back. All right, layer it through so that we get the most out of the curl, and then afterwards, just to give it some tightness. All right, what I want to do is take the hair so that it clears your ear here. All right, and then do the same thing at the back here, okay, so that we get a really nice sort of stacking effect here on both sides. So this will be really close. This will be really close here on the sides, okay, and it'll come through into the back, and it'll be close in the back so that we have really nice fullness right here at the crown area. And then all you will have to do is wash it, comb it into the wave, and just let it air dry. How does that sound?
That sounds great. That sounds
Okay.
like something I can do.
All right, so we're going to shampoo and then we'll section. Okay, so here are my sections. So whenever I'm doing a layered haircut, the first thing that I do is I look for the crown. And the crown is the point that separates the front section from the back section. So I take a parting from the crown, and it comes down to right behind the ear. And then to separate the side section from the top section, I look for where the hairline changes direction right here in the front, and take a line going straight back. Now, the system that I'm going to use is called rounded graduation. And the reason why we call it rounded graduation is because the sections that I'm going to take are going to be slightly curved. They're not straight across, and they're not vertical. They're right in the bias, right in between, okay? So here, it's going to be rounded. When I get into the back section, okay, I'm going to follow that circular section all the way around, all right? The important thing is that when I get to the occipital bone right here, that parting is going to be more straight around, and then I'm going to be coming through like this all the way through, right up to the crown area. And then when I come into the front area, my parting here is going to be parallel to the hairline, okay, which will automatically make it even with the partings that I've taken on the side. So the technique itself is actually really easy. Okay, there are no weird angles or degrees that we need to get into. What's the hardest part about this whole system is getting this wave to work. Okay, so when I start, okay, I'm going to be starting on the sides, and I'm going to be working towards the back. So I'm going to take my first section like this. Now, to get the correct length, okay, what I have to do is I have to mold this hair up against my middle finger. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the first bend of the wave. This is really, really important, because if I cut it shorter than the first bend of the wave, then I'm into the root system, and then when I comb that back, this is not going to move back. If I leave it longer than where the wave bends back, then I'm into where the curl is going to start coming towards the face, so that when I comb that back, I'm going to get, you know, this hair that's basically going to stick out. And what I want is I want this movement to just comb back without the curl, but leaving the wave. So that's why this is really, really important here. So when I take my first section, I'm going to hold it between my fingers, with my fingers resting right against the head. And I'm going to come around, and I'm only cutting from the tip of my middle finger to the second crease of my middle finger. So when I let it go, okay, that just automatically moves back. Now, with each section that I take after that, I'm going to be lifting the hair. So I lift this hair straight out from the head. I can see my guideline underneath, and then I cut around. And it's really, really, really important that I lift the hair, because the tendency is to drag the hair down, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to lift it with each section, coming around the shape of the hair. So I will know if I'm cutting this to exactly the right length, because each time I let go of the hair, that hair should just completely move back by itself. Okay, and I'm going to cut this all the way through to where my partings join. So I don't want to drag it down. Now, even though I am layering naturally wavy hair, I am applying a lot of tension. Okay, because the more tension I apply to the hair, then the stronger the shape is going to be, and the stronger my texture is going to be. Now, when I come through to do the right hand side, I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing. And because I'm working with the wave, I'm not taking any notice of the side that I've just cut. So I take my first section, mold it up against my middle finger. So once again, okay, I can see exactly where the first bend of the wave is, all right? And I'm going to lift this hair with my fingers resting right against the client's head. always with the very first section, okay? And then I'm going to come from the tip of my middle finger to the second crease of my middle finger, okay, so that that just moves back by itself. Then come through and take that off. So once again, okay, what I want is I just want that to just move back by itself. Take the next section. This time we're going to lift it and then come around. Take the next section, lift it. Okay, so once again, that just moves back by itself. So my parting, as you can see, it's on a curve, it's not straight across, and it's not vertical. Okay, so lift it. And I think it's really, really important that we only go from the tip of the middle finger, excuse me, to the second crease of the middle finger. Because otherwise, if I cut all the way through to where my fingers join, then I'm actually cutting in a straight line instead of a curve. So by cutting from the tip of my middle finger to the second crease of my middle finger, it makes me want to come around the shape of the head like that. So continuing through. Okay, now coming into the back, I'm going to take a parting around the hairline. And I'm going to be picking up the side section as my guideline. When I comb that, okay, see that is what I want to see, is that hair just bouncing in, okay, which is going to do that because of the length that I've taken it here on the side. That's why this is so important. That first section that I've taken is so important because it truly is my guideline for the rest of the sections. You know, all about getting this hair to do exactly what we want it to do by itself, which is going to make it so much easier for the client. Really see how that texture is moving, you know, exactly the way that I want it to go. So we're going to do exactly the same thing on the left hand side. Now just to give you an idea, the hair here is completely dry. So this is like the worst it's ever going to look, which is not too bad. But you know, my point is that I've only cut it once. You see, this to me is what is so important, is I've only cut this hair once. It's not like I've had to pick the hair up, cut it, comb it, see what it's doing. Oh, it's too long, pick it up again, cut it, comb it. Oh, it's still too long, pick it up, comb it, cut it. Right, that's the right length, okay? Because that's just a waste of time. Knowing exactly where to cut the hair, in this case where to cut the wave, so that it works by itself, is going to make doing the haircut so much easier and so much faster. Okay, because we're not going over and over and over and over it again. Okay, so let's look at what we have here at the back. I just want you to have a look and see how this hair is growing here from the crown, which is very important. So the crown is right over here onto the right hand side, and that's why you can see that this area, this section here, is so much wider than the right hand section is here. All right, so when I'm doing my haircuts, the sections are not, excuse me, so when I'm doing my haircuts, the sections are not even, because the hair doesn't grow evenly all over the head. So taking my first section, slightly curved, and I pick up my side section here, fingers against the head, and cut, coming around. Okay, still cutting from the tip of my middle finger to the second crease of my middle finger. All right, so once again, when I comb that, all right, that just bounces into the neck. So now with each section now, I'm going to be lifting it and using the side section as my guideline coming through so that it coincides with the section that I've taken under. And I want to make sure that by the time we get to the occipital bone, that parting is going to be straight around. And you see how each time I let the hair go, it flows into that wave without me having to do anything to it at all. So lifting it straight out from the head, which is really important, because sometimes, you know, the tendency is to want to drag the hair down, especially, you know, as we get closer to the crown. So I could get two different textures out of here. I could get it so that it's curl, so all of this comes through, so this is nice and smooth here, and then it goes into a curl right here, or we could have it so that everything is like really, really nice and smooth. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the front. So why we decided, to go with the layering is because the hair here is much finer here than it is everywhere else. So layering this through on the top is going to make the top fuller, and it's going to make it look thicker. So When I'm working with a wave, all right, I don't go with the natural part, I just go with the center part. Because what I want to do is I want to take this wave that we have here in the front here, and I want it to blend with the wave that we've taken on the side here. So to do that, I'm going to take my first section parallel with the hairline, like I mentioned at the very beginning, so that this parting here, you see, will automatically come through and it blends in with the parting that we took on the side, okay? Now, after I've taken my parting parallel to the hairline, okay, I'm going to comb this hair into that wave. So the wave comes down here like this. And where we want to cut it, okay, so we want to cut it right where that hair bends. So I'm going to lift this hair up here. And the crucial thing is that when I'm taking my first section here in the front, my fingers are not against the skin, because I am not blending it with this section here. My first section here on the side, my fingers were against the skin. I'm blending it right with this section on the top of the side section. So I have to lift this hair, pick up the side section, and there's my guideline, and then cut all the way through to the parting, so that, see that just moves back. So all of that now blends in with the wave on the side, which, you know, is quite exciting, actually. So I take the next section. Okay, as I go back, your head is going to come down, okay? Take the next section, lift it. There's my guideline. Tons of tension. You know, sometimes, you know, when I'm teaching my students, some students get very, what's the word I want? Nervous about cutting curly hair or wavy hair with a lot of tension. But you see, if my guideline is correct here, remember it's the guideline for the wave, and it's going to be the guideline for all of the wave. So as long as this is working here, it's going to work here. And that's the beauty of the system, because it's really, you know, it's really about making hair work in conjunction with the shape that you want to put into the hair, okay? I mean, we mustn't forget the fact that, you know, we've sold the client on this particular look. We've sold it to her because it's going to be easy for her to do. We've sold it to her because I've said I want to work with the wave and I want to make the wave work. But then, you know, then we have to do it. And so that's why the guidelines are so important. Because if those guidelines are wrong, if your very, very first guideline is wrong, then everything else is going to be wrong. I mean, it's just that simple. So I'm coming through all the way. Okay, can you put your head down a little bit further? There we go. See, we should make the client do what we want her to do, so that's easy for us. All the way through to the crown area. So, like I said, you see, technique-wise, hardly, you know, it's really easy technique-wise. I think the hardest part is figuring out, well, I think the hardest part with any haircut, actually, is figuring out exactly what length one should take the hair to, so that when you cut it, it does what we want it to do with the very first cut. See, that is so important, because I think, you know, that does two things for us. Number one, it makes doing the haircut faster, because we're not going over and over and over and over again until we get to the length that we want. And the other thing is it instills confidence in our clients. Because, you know, if the client is looking at us and we're combing it and combing it and combing it and cutting it and cutting it and cutting it, and we haven't moved on, then, you know, the client gets nervous. And then when the client gets nervous, then we get nervous. Now, to cross-check it, is come through from the back all the way through to the front. So I'm going to take this coming around, and if there's any weight in the center, now is the time to take that off. But all in all, there's very, very little cleanup work to do. So you see, basically, I've put the length in with just one cut. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to tighten up the sides here, I want to tighten up the back here, and I want to tighten up the side here. So I want to get rid of this hair here so that we've got a much more defined shape all the way through. So I'm going to go into our one length technique. And I'm going to start on the sides. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for that wave. And I'm going to scoop this up and I'm going to take it to just underneath, just over the ear. So I'm going to take this and it's going to be at an angle. My fingers resting right against the client's head. Okay, so that moves there, and then I can take this off here. So it goes right around the ear. So now, see, that's what I want that to do, is move up and have that so that it's really nice and flat here. When I come through to do the back, the first thing that I do is I look for the occipital bone, because I must not go any higher than the occipital bone, all right, because I'm going to lose my balance. So I'm going to put a line in here all the way around. So I'm going to scoop this hair up, and the line between my fingers is just underneath the occipital bone. And come all the way around. Okay, so I have that line there. And then right here, I can blend. And remember, when you do this here, do not comb it forward, do not comb it back, do not comb it, hold it between your fingers, okay? Bring it straight down and cut around the ear. So we're going to do exactly the same thing on the right hand side, okay? So here's my line. So I'm going to put my line in here, straight around, and then cut around the ear. So scoop the hair up, hold it between the fingers, lots of tension, comb that, you know, just to make sure that the line that we've got in there is consistent. And then when we do this section here, combing it down, hold the comb between your forefinger and your thumb, crisscross your hands so that you are cutting this way around the ear. That way you can maintain, you know, the direction of the hair that you've combed it here. Lift it, fingers right against the head. Bring that down so that the line between the fingers is in line with the top of the ear. Some nice fullness running through the back, and then this is going to be taken off when the hair is dried. So I'm going to dry the hair. I am going to use our Curvaceous product. which is formulated for naturally curly hair. Just a little. Okay, because I believe that, you know, the product that we use should basically only enhance the haircut. It should not be used to make the haircut work. You know, if I have to use product to make the haircut work, then I haven't cut the hair to the right length for the texture of hair that I'm working on. Okay, so we'll blow dry. I'm going to diffuse it, and then we'll come back and we'll finish it off. Now that we've blown dry, I'm going to take my barbering comb and my thinning scissors and just any weight that I see through here, just take that off, because this is all visual now. There's no technique. And I want to take this so that this is nice and close. You know, right up to that line, actually. So when I use my thinning scissors, okay, it's just a question of keeping the scissors moving all the time so that we don't get any lines. So the idea is to make that, you know, really nice and soft in here. You know, so all of this has to be done dry. This is like the finish work. And there are no rules to how you finish off your haircut. It's all about how you actually want to see the finished look. The important thing is that this wave works. That's, you know, that's what's important to me, is that all of this wave interlocks together. Some people would prefer to see it longer here. Some people would prefer it to be even shorter, but that's a personal thing. And that's what, you know, that's what art is all about, I think. As long as the client likes what you're doing, you see, to me, three things have to happen with a haircut. Number one, the client has to like it. Number two, the hair has to like it. So in other words, the hair has got to do what you want it to do. And number three, we have to like it as artists. If any one of those three things is missing, then we haven't done the correct haircut. The first thing that we're going to do whenever we do any kind of layered hair is to look for the crown, section off from the crown to right behind the ear, and then section off from where the hairline changes direction, go straight back. We're going to start off at the we're going to start off on the side section, and we're going to look for where that first bend of the wave is, and all of our sections are going to be slightly curve all the way through to where my sections join here, okay? Then with the back section, we're going to come into the back section, take a curved section all the way around, making sure that the section, by the time I get to the occipital bone, is straight around, okay? And continue through until we get to the crown area here. And when we come through to do the right hand side, we're going to work with this wave here, so we don't take any notice of the wave that we've cut on the left hand side. Look for the first bend. Make sure the section is slightly curved all the way around, okay? And then coming through into the side, into the back section, follow that around, making sure that my parting is straight around by the time I get to the occipital bone, okay? So that all of that flows in together. Then coming through to do the top, take a center parting, blend this wave that we have here into the wave that we have on the side, making sure that with the first section, your first section is not brought down to the forehead. It is lifted straight out from the head because we are blending it in with this section, this top section of the side section here. And then just come through all the way through the top, okay? All the way through till you get to the crown area. And then we will be doing exactly the same thing on the left-hand side, okay? Not taking any notice of the wave here, all right? And pulling it straight out from the head all the way through, all right? Then afterwards, you're gonna come through, check through the middle, okay? Make sure that everything blends in all the way through to the front. And then with your, if this is what you would like to do, with your barbering comb and your thinning scissors. Oh no, excuse me. Okay, so once you've done that, then you're going to come through and do a one length, scoop the hair up, make sure that it comes to just above the ear. The same thing at the back here, scoop the hair up, making sure that this line here between your fingers is just underneath the occipital bone, okay? When you cut this section here around the ear, remember to comb this hair down, comb this hair straight down, and then cut around the ear. Do not hold it between your fingers. Do not push it back, okay? Just comb it straight down. And then exactly the same thing on the right hand side. Okay, here at a slight angle, fingers, the line between your fingers is just above the ear. And then at the back, you're going to come through straight around. And then when you comb this hair straight down, crisscross your hands so that you're cutting from the back to the front. Then take your barbering comb and your thinning scissors and then finish the hair off itself, okay? So that is my rounded graduation technique, and let us just finish off by looking at the finished look all together.